I happen to be the great-great-granddaughter of George Henry Brown, who originally came to Singapore, and he somehow acquired this piece of land. He built houses on it and he settled here with his tapioca, his carriage planting, his carriage building, his rubber plantations. He had ships trailing between here and Shanghai. And he settled here. He had a wife brought out. They had 3 daughters. One of those daughters gave birth to my grandmother, and my grandmother had 4 children. And my father is still alive today. He's 87. He would have loved to have come. I will bring him next time. And so George Brown now has 24 great-great-great-great-grandchildren and 11 great-great-grandchildren. But I'm just part, I think we've always felt part of the narrative of Singapore. My personal journey started with my lovely grandmother, who did settle finally back in England, but had been born and brought up here, went to live in Australia, but wherever she went in the world, she carried 27 bags, and in the bags were diaries, photographs, all sorts of things. And so she sort of carried their whole history and story with her. And when we were growing up, just in England, dull as ditch water in the 50s, there were pictures on the walls, there was food she would serve. I mean, we had never seen a mango, we had never had tapioca. She would eat strange parts of meat that weren't traditionally eaten. And we just all grew up knowing about this Singapore dimension, and she spoke Malay. 14 years ago, I came here for 2 years, and that's when we started in earnest. We traipsed through the archives, we contacted everybody, we found plans of houses, we located all sorts of people and connections, maps, and just uncovered much, much, much more about George Brown. Including that, you know, we read the diaries more carefully, we transcripted every letter. They'd all been written in this beautiful Victorian copperplate handwriting. And we know that there's a stream here where George Brown's son drowned. We know that George Brown and Ellen, his wife, built 3 houses here, and the brother-in-law came to live in one of them. I mean, it began with him clearing this area of tigers. That's what he was known for. I mean, obviously not him personally, but he got the area cleared. And so slowly we just built up the whole narrative, which was probably quite a typical narrative of early Singapore. When he arrived in the 1840s, there were only 180 Europeans here. Obviously many more Chinese, many more Malay. But he definitely was it emerged that he was one of the key figures in arranging a lot of things. Philosophy Society, the Masonic Society, which, you know, we're a bit ambivalent about these days. He helped to set up hospitals with Tan Tock Seng. They went to Chinese weddings. I think in the early days there was quite a lot of intermingling of the cultures. I love wandering around it and imagining perhaps, you know, what happened here and who was here. I mean, it's part of the story of Singapore, and that's why I hope that very much that this can be preserved.